I am Celera and I just turned 32 last month. 3 years ago something happened at our family dinner that changed my life forever. My mom, Marisol, slammed her fist on the table, yelled at me and called me a failure. She told me to leave the house immediately. Then she gave everything in our house, which was worth $500,000, to my sister, Ivania, as a wedding gift. She said, "At least one of my daughters isn't wasting her life," and clapped while giving her the deed. I was shocked. My heart hurt and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I grabbed my car keys and drove straight to my aunt's house, hoping I could stay just for one night. But when I got there, my Aunt Thelina looked me up and down and said, "You're useless. Always chasing silly dreams. Go figure it out yourself." She didn't let me in. That was it. I had no choice but to walk away. I deleted their phone numbers, blocked them on social media and vanished from their lives. I didn't contact them for 3 whole years. Then last week my sister was driving past my new huge house. She stopped in her car and froze. She immediately called my mom screaming, "Mom! Wait. That house, it's hers." My mom had no words. I never expected what would happen next. Let me tell you how I quietly turned my dreams into a big success that they couldn't ignore. But before I continue, hit the subscribe button and tell me where you're watching this from, and what time of day is it. I grew up in Greenwich, a rich town near New York City. Our family lived in a big 2-story house with a green lawn and a garage that could fit 3 cars. My mom loved showing off. She cared a lot about money and what other people thought. She wanted us to look perfect and successful. My sister Ivania was exactly what she wanted. She was 3 years older than me. From the time she was 9, Ivania loved numbers and business. She even drew stock charts with colored pencils. My mom noticed her right away and hired a private coach to teach her about money and investing. Mom would pin Ivania's practice trading sheets on the fridge and say, "Ivania's going places." My Aunt Thelina, who was rich too, said Ivania would be a Wall Street star someday. I loved making computer programs. I liked to make apps that helped track renewable energy and save electricity. When I built my first program at age 10 to log solar panels, my mom sighed and said, "Why waste time on that silly stuff?" My Aunt Thelina laughed at me and said it was just playing with toys that would never make me money. My dad, Kalen Moore, was different. He quietly supported me. He was a software engineer who had switched jobs to please my mom, but he always saw my talent. He told me, "You're building the future." He gave me my first laptop at age 11 with coding software already installed. He taught me about energy systems and computers. While my mom and aunt cheered Ivania's stock charts, my dad spent evenings helping me improve my programs to use energy better. It hurt that my family treated Ivania better. For Ivania's 16th birthday, my mom threw a huge party with catering and a brand new sports car. Neighbors clapped and my Aunt Thelina said, "Ivania is destined for greatness." My birthday was very different. My dad gave me a used laptop and quietly said, "This will help you make your apps better." I loved it, but I felt the difference. When I entered a regional tech fair at age 15 with an app that tracked home energy, I won first place. A local blog wrote about it. My dad framed the article and said, "The world needs innovators like you." My mom barely looked at it and said, "It's just a school project." My aunt laughed and said, "Dreams like that won't buy you a house. Look at Ivania. That's real ambition." As I grew older, the differences between Ivania and me became bigger. Ivania got lots of praise for her grades. She went to Manhattan for finance seminars. My grades were expected and my achievements in coding were ignored. My aunt loved Ivania's essays but called my coding a cute hobby. My dad always encouraged me. He got me books about green technology and sent me to coding camps. He said, "Don't let them dim your spark." By high school, I worked hard on my apps to save energy. I made one that could reduce energy waste in simulations. A local tech newsletter even interviewed me. My dad framed the article and told me he was proud. Still, my mom and aunt didn't care. They only bragged about Ivania. Then something very sad happened. 3 weeks before I graduated high school, my dad died in a car accident. I was 17. I was heartbroken. His last words were, "Follow your heart, Celera. Don't chase money like I did." After he passed away, my mom focused even more on Ivania, planning her college applications. My aunt called, but mostly to talk about Ivania's future. I felt very alone. I threw myself into my work. I applied to the University of Connecticut to study computer science and sustainable technology. I got a partial scholarship, but I had to work freelance coding jobs to pay for the rest. My days were full of classes, coding, and part-time work. Ivania went to NYU's Stern School of Business. My mom paid her tuition, her apartment, and monthly allowance. She said Ivania needed to focus on her future, while I ate instant noodles and used secondhand textbooks. In my second year at college, I met Professor Dr. Isolde Vera, a renewable energy expert. She saw potential in my apps and invited me to her lab. There, I made a program that connected solar panels with live weather data to save more energy. She said, "You're on to something big." I worked very hard balancing school work and coding. Ivania visited home sometimes and my mom and aunt always bragged about her. They ignored my updates. Still, I remembered my dad's words and kept working. By my junior year, my app got noticed at a small sustainability conference. People were impressed, but my mom and aunt called it a distraction. I kept pushing forward alone. After graduation, our paths were very different. I graduated with honors and got an unpaid internship at Urban Energy, a small nonprofit in New York City that worked on sustainable technology. I was learning a lot and working hard even though I didn't get much money. Meanwhile, Ivania started interning at a big finance company. My mom and aunt were proud and always told everyone how successful Ivania was. Even though I was tired and had little money, I didn't give up. I spent nights coding, improving my apps, and looking for new ways to help people save energy. I made friends with other engineers and scientists who loved my ideas. They encouraged me to keep going. I worked on a big project that could help entire neighborhoods save electricity. I even presented it at a city technology expo. People were amazed. I could see my dreams slowly coming true. During this time, I also learned how to run a business. I didn't want to just make apps. I wanted to make them available for people everywhere. I learned how to get investors, how to explain my ideas clearly, and how to make a team work together. It was hard, but every night I remembered my dad saying, "Follow your heart." That kept me going. 3 years after leaving my family, I finally started seeing results. My apps became very popular. Cities wanted to use them to save energy. Companies started hiring me to help make their buildings more efficient. Slowly, I earned enough money to buy my own house. But I didn't just want any house. I wanted a place that showed I had worked hard and succeeded on my own. Then last week, my sister drove past my new huge house. She stopped in her car and froze. She called my mom screaming, "Mom, wait. That house, it's hers." My mom had no words. For the first time, they saw that I had succeeded without their help. I didn't go to them for help or approval. I built my life quietly. I followed my dreams. I worked hard even when no one believed in me. My dad had believed in me and I carried his encouragement in my heart. Now my success was something no one could ignore. Growing up, I had to deal with a lot of unfairness. My mom and aunt always favored Ivania. They praised her every little achievement and ignored mine. It hurt a lot. But even though it was hard, I never gave up. I knew what I loved and kept working on it. I learned that success isn't about being the favorite or having someone give you money. It's about working hard, following your dreams, and never letting anyone make you feel worthless. Now I have a big house, a successful business, and a team of people who respect my ideas. I help cities and neighborhoods save energy. I even mentor younger kids who want to learn coding and make the world better. Every time I see them, I remember my dad's words, "Follow your heart, Celera." Looking back, the pain I felt as a teenager made me stronger. It made me work harder and focus on what really mattered. My mom and aunt might have laughed at my dreams before, but now they can't ignore what I built. I didn't do it for revenge. I did it for me and for the people who believe in making the world a better place. Even though Ivania had everything handed to her, I realized that happiness doesn't come from money or praise from others. It comes from doing something you love and making a difference. My apps help families save energy, reduce waste, and protect the environment. That is the real reward. When I finally bought my house, I thought about my dad. I wished he could have seen it. I knew he would have been proud. He believed in me when no one else did. That belief carried me through the hardest times. And even though my mom and aunt never supported me, I proved to myself that I could succeed on my own. I want other people, especially kids and young adults, to know that being called a failure or being ignored doesn't mean you aren't talented. It just means you need to keep working quietly, follow your heart, and trust yourself. If I had listened to my mom and aunt, I would never have built my apps or helped so many people. Now when my sister sees me, she's shocked. She didn't think I could make it. My mom and aunt finally see that I am successful. But I don't need their approval. I already know my worth. I followed my dreams, worked hard, and created something meaningful. That is more important than anything they could ever give me. Even though I was hurt by my family, I learned an important lesson. Never let anyone decide what you can or cannot do. Believe in yourself even when it's hard, even when no one else believes in you. Keep learning, keep trying, and keep improving. The world will notice your hard work sooner or later. Now I have a life I am proud of. My apps continue to help people. My house is a place of peace and success. I am living proof that even when people doubt you, even when family turns away, you can still follow your dreams and make them real. And this is how I quietly turned my so-called wasted potential into a massive success. I did it for me, for my dad's memory, and for the people who need sustainable solutions to save energy and protect the planet. No one could stop me because I never stopped believing in myself. I spent many long days and nights working hard on my app. My app was very special. It could help the city save energy and stop wasting power. I wanted to help the world and make life better for people. I dreamed that one day my app could make buildings use less electricity so families and stores could save money, and the environment would be happier. But my mom Marisol didn't understand any of it. She didn't think my work was important at all. One day she called me on the phone. "Gardening code won't get you anywhere," she said. "You should go to business school and do finance like your sister Ivania." Her words hurt me, but I tried not to show it. I loved my app too much to stop. That same day my Aunt Thelina came over for coffee. She sat at the kitchen table sipping her tea and she nodded along with my mom. "Finance is safe," she said. "Your tech ideas are just a gamble, Celera. You should think about something more realistic." I had heard words like that from them for many years. They always seemed to compare me to my sister Ivania. Ivania was the golden child. She went to fancy schools, got good jobs, and always seemed to make everyone proud. But I loved technology. I loved coding and creating things. So even though their words stung, I decided I would not stop. I would not let them tell me what I could or could not do. I joined a small company called Urban Energy. They didn't have much money and the office was a bit messy. The desks were old, the chairs squeaked, and sometimes the lights flickered. But everyone on the team worked very hard. They cared about making the city better. I loved the challenge. I coded late into the night, drinking lots of coffee and thinking about ways to improve my app. Slowly, my work started getting noticed. A local program for new green technology companies liked my app and gave me some encouragement. But even then, my mom and aunt only cared about Ivania. Ivania had landed a junior analyst job at a big bank in Manhattan. The bank gave her a signing bonus and my family threw a big toast to celebrate her success. I wasn't invited to the toast. "Ivania is making us proud," my mom told the neighbors at a fancy country club. She never mentioned my work or my internship. I felt invisible in my own family. The breaking point came at Ivania's engagement dinner. The dinner was held at our big house in Greenwich. The house was decorated beautifully with flowers everywhere. A live music quartet played soft music in the background, and all of our relatives and family friends were there. I arrived late because I had been working on a coding problem. I slipped quietly into the kitchen to grab a drink, hoping not to be noticed. But then I overheard my mom talking to one of the guests. "Celera is a failure," she said, her voice cold and sharp. "She's wasting her life on that tech nonsense. Ivania deserves the house. It's worth $500,000 and she has earned it." My stomach dropped. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mom was telling everyone that she would give the house to Ivania and not to me. I felt like my whole world had flipped upside down. I stepped out and confronted her. "You're giving Ivania the house?" I asked, my voice shaking. "After everything I've done," I said, trying not to cry. "You've done nothing but chase silly dreams," my mom snapped back. "If you can't respect my decision, get out." The room went completely silent. Ivania smirked, holding Kalian's hand. I grabbed my bag and ran out of the house. I drove straight to my Aunt Thelina's house in Stamford, hoping she might let me stay just one night. I knocked on her door, my voice cracking. "Can I please stay just for one night?" I asked, almost crying. Thelina stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. "You're useless, Celera," she said. "Always chasing silly dreams. Figure it out yourself." Then she shut the door right in my face. I sat in my car for a long time, tears streaming down my face. I felt completely alone. But then I made a choice. I blocked my mom's number, Ivania's number, and Thelina's number on my phone. I erased them from my contacts and social media. I decided I would focus on myself and my dreams. The next day I drove to a small, cheap studio apartment in Brooklyn. The apartment was tiny. The paint was peeling from the walls, the lights flickered sometimes, and the radiator made a loud banging noise. But it was mine. I signed the lease right away. I threw myself into coding even more. I worked 18 hours a day, sometimes forgetting to eat, sometimes forgetting to sleep. I wanted to prove to everyone, and to myself, that my dreams were not silly. The rejection from my family hurt, but it also gave me a fire in my heart. I wasn't chasing dreams. I was building a future. Weeks went by. My app prototype was selected for a small city pilot project. Felt like a huge win. Even though I had no family left to support me, I had my work and my colleagues at Urban Energy who believed in me. For the first time in my life I felt free. I could decide what success meant for me. Life in my Brooklyn studio was simple. I cooked simple meals, skipped going out with friends, and saved every penny I could. I kept working on my app, making it smarter and faster. My app could now reduce energy use in urban buildings by 60%. One afternoon I went to a sustainability conference in Manhattan. I bumped into Professor Dr. Isolde Vera, my old mentor. She looked at my app on my laptop and her eyes lit up. "This could change how cities manage power," she said. Then she introduced me to Riven Kale, a venture capitalist who invests in green technology. Riven asked me many questions about my app. He wanted to know if it could work in big buildings, if it could save money, and if it could grow into something bigger. I answered all of his questions. He liked what I was doing and invited me to pitch my app formally. 2 months later, Riven's fund invested $75,000 in my company, Green Tech Solutions, for 20% ownership. With that money, I hired Lyra Tamson, a brilliant software engineer. Lyra helped me make the app faster and better. We worked together for long hours, sometimes until dawn, fixing bugs and testing the app. Even though doubts crept in at quiet moments, I kept going. I sometimes wondered if I had given up my family for nothing. But Lyra encouraged me. "We're on to something big," she would say. We high-fived every time we fixed a problem or had a small success. 6 months later, a big grocery chain in New York City agreed to test our app in 10 stores. The app automatically controlled lights and heating depending on how many people were inside. Their electricity bills went down by 30%. Local news wrote about our work, calling our app a game changer for saving energy. Soon other stores wanted our app too. Our company started making enough money to pay ourselves a small salary. Even though life was still hard, I felt proud. My friend Vena Solis kept me updated about my family. She told me Ivania bought a fancy condo in Manhattan with my mom's help. They were throwing a housewarming party, but I didn't want to go. They had chosen their path and I had chosen mine. Green Tech kept growing. Lyra and I added new features to the app. Now it could predict energy use in office buildings and make them even more efficient. Investors noticed our success and more clients signed up. After 1 year, I moved from my tiny studio to a small one-bedroom apartment in a safer neighborhood. It was still simple, but it felt like a real home. Urban Energy stayed our partner, letting us use the app in community projects. It felt amazing to help people and the environment at the same time. Meanwhile, my mom and aunt kept talking about Ivania's promotions and achievements. I didn't pay attention. I was too busy focusing on our next project. Our app became famous in the green technology world. Lyra and I celebrated our victories with takeout pizza and small treats. Our small team became like a family. They believed in each other and supported each other. 3 years later, Green Tech Solutions was doing very well. We made profits, hired 16 people, and got more investors to give us funding. Our app was now being used in stores across New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. It saved money and energy. Because of our success, I moved from a small apartment to a beautiful one-bedroom home in Greenwich. It was safe, spacious, and modern. My new house had big windows that let the sunlight in and a rooftop solar system. The solar system ran everything using my app without needing any electricity from the city. Every light, every appliance ran on my code. It was a quiet victory, proof that I had worked hard and achieved something big. One crisp October morning, Ivania and Kalian were driving through Greenwich after visiting his parents. Ivania looked out the car window and saw the Green Tech logo on a small sign by my driveway. She slammed on the brakes, her eyes wide, and yelled, "Mom, this house is worth a fortune." "Wait, it's hers." "My sister's," she shouted into her phone, shocked and unable to believe what she was seeing. I was in my home office looking at work for my clients, not knowing what was happening outside. Hours later, my mom, Marisol, came to my door without telling me she was coming. Her face looked softer than I remembered, but I could still see little lines that showed she had felt sorry for things in the past. "Sarah, I didn't know how much you've done," she said, her voice shaking a little. "I was wrong to push you away." Her words sounded like she had practiced them, like she was trying to say sorry but wasn't really ready to fully admit all the hurt she caused. I stayed calm and held onto the doorframe. "I built this without you," I said firmly. "I don't need your approval now." She stayed there waiting for more, but I closed the door. I was finally setting a limit to protect myself. I had learned over the years that people don't always change, and that sometimes the best thing you can do is stand up for yourself. That same evening, my Aunt Thelina Mitchell sent me a text. Her words were full of anger and judgment. "Still playing with your little tech toys, I see. Ivania is the one who deserved better." I read the message once, my thumb hovering over the screen, and then I blocked her number without answering. Her mean words stung, but they no longer had power over me. I had learned that people who try to make you feel small are not worth your energy. I had spent 3 years building my own path and no one could shake me. My house became my safe place. It was where I met with clients and worked with my team. The house had a special energy system powered by my app, and local groups who cared about the environment came to see it. They liked how it saved energy and wrote about it in newsletters. I decorated my house simply with clean furniture and soft colors, showing the calm and order I had fought for. Every morning, sunlight came through the windows, reminding me of all I had built from nothing. The sunlight felt like a reward for my hard work and determination. Ivania called my mom and soon the news spread through our family and friends. My friend Vena Solis told me, "They're shocked you did better than them." He sounded proud, but I just smiled and focused on my work at Green Tech. We were talking to new clients in 2 more states and I was hiring people to help our company grow. I liked getting recognition, but that wasn't the main reason I worked hard. I wanted to prove to myself that my ideas mattered, not to make anyone else happy. One evening, I stood on my rooftop watching the solar panels move to catch the last light of the sun. I felt strong and calm. My family, the ones I used to depend on, were no longer the center of my life. I had made my own life and their shock didn't bother me. I went back to my laptop, ready for the next challenge, proud of the home I had earned. What happened next showed the real results of our choices. My mom's world started falling apart when people in Greenwich found out she had favorites. A local Facebook group full of people from the country club was talking about how she had treated me and Ivania differently. She had given the house to Ivania and called me a failure. One post about it was shared many times. Friends who used to visit her stopped inviting her, and people who used to talk to her in the club stopped speaking. Marisol's reputation, the thing she cared about most, started to crumble. Ivania's life went downhill too. She became jealous of my success and it caused arguments with her husband, Kalian Hayes. Their marriage was already having problems and by spring they got divorced because they couldn't agree on things anymore. Then Ivania made another mistake. She bought expensive apartments in Connecticut, hoping to make money, but the market dropped quickly. She lost a lot of money and went bankrupt. Her fancy condo in Manhattan, which she had been proud of, had to be sold to pay off her debts. Vena Solis, my friend from college, told me about all this while we were having a quiet dinner at my villa. "Your mom's practically a pariah now," she said, stirring her coffee. "Ivania's struggling too, divorced and broke." I felt a tiny bit sad but didn't want to help them. My family made their choices and I made mine. Green Tech Solutions kept growing. We got new contracts in Maryland and Pennsylvania, and our app became famous for helping cities save energy. I hired more engineers, got a bigger office in New York City and focused on the work I loved. I loved seeing the energy system in action, watching buildings use less electricity and saving money in the environment. Looking back, my journey had been hard, but it made me stronger. When I was a child, I was often overlooked. People thought my coding was just a hobby while Ivania got all the attention. My dad always encouraged me, but after he died, I had to face my mom and aunts alone. Felt scary at first, but I learned to trust myself and my skills. The betrayal at Ivania's engagement party and Aunt Thelina's mean rejection forced me to find my own idea of success. I learned that real success wasn't about their approval or money, it was about what I could create and the difference I could make. Setting limits with my family was hard, but it kept me safe and let me focus on what was important. I never replied to my mom's apology or Aunt Thelina's mean messages. Their words used to hurt me, but now they felt like echoes from a long time ago. Vena suggested I might try to make peace with my family, but I shook my head. They don't get to share in this, I said, pointing to my villa's solar panels, powered by my app. My life was now full of meetings with clients, late-night coding with my team, and running with Vena through the quiet streets of Greenwich. I had built a world where their approval didn't matter. I could finally enjoy my home, knowing every corner, every panel, every design was mine. I remembered how lonely it had been in the past. Nights when I coded by myself, dreams that people said were silly. Now those nights felt like stepping stones to the life I had. The house was my kingdom, my hard work shining everywhere I looked. Standing on my rooftop watching the sun set and light up the solar panels, I knew I hadn't just survived, I had thrived. The panels glowed in the soft light, a reminder that every choice I made, every challenge I faced had brought me to this moment. I didn't feel proud in a way that wanted to hurt anyone. I felt calm. I felt happy. I had finally learned that being true to myself and working hard was the only approval I needed. The family I had once longed for was gone, but I had built something even stronger. My own life, my own rules, my own success. Even when I remembered the pain and the rejection, it no longer made me sad. It reminded me that I could survive anything. I could face any challenge and I could keep building. My journey had been long and sometimes hard, but every step led to this life filled with purpose, energy, and peace. The sun disappeared behind the horizon, and the soft hum of my solar panels filled the evening air. I went inside, ready to work on new projects, help more cities save energy, and continue building the life I had dreamed of. I knew that whatever happened with my family, I was safe, strong, and free to keep growing. This life was mine, built by my hands, my mind, and my heart. And nothing could take that away from me.